Welcome to Keto Beyond the Couch. I have no idea what episode this is.
I'm Rachel.
And I'm Joe.
And we are two crazy ketos.
And if you're new to our channel, welcome.
Yes, welcome. If you're new here, please say hi down below.
Now here on Two Crazy Ketos, we do different things like recipe videos and we do product reviews. We talk about various keto topics, and every Monday we go live on Keto Beyond the Couch because life exists beyond the couch.
You can find us in different social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and X.
And we have a website, which is twocrazyketos.com, and that's where you're going to find all of our different recipes. Now, we do upload at least 5 new videos every single week, so make sure you subscribe to our channel.
And don't forget to hit the little bell icon, and that way, every single time we're taping Keto Beyond the Couch in the midst of a hurricane, you'll be alerted to it.
So right now, it is Monday. It is about 8:30 in the morning. And we are at Camp Margaritaville in Auburndale, Florida for the finale rally for season 2 of RV Unplugged.
No. We're here for Hurricane Debbie, it seems like, because she's really taking center stage.
Well, Hurricane Debbie is way north of us. We're on the dirty side of the hurricane, so we keep getting tornado warnings. And we were going to go live today at 10 a.m., but I worry about the internet. There's another storm warning. So we decided that we're just going to go ahead and pre-record this, but we will go live in the chat as soon as we can get it uploaded. Hopefully that's by 10 a.m. and you're watching this at 10 a.m.
Hi, 10 a.m.
So yeah, we've been getting some tornado warnings all night long. I was just watching online. I think they're just north of us.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you're on the back side of the storm, it's the dirty side of the storm, and that's where you get things like tornadoes and things like that.
And all joking aside, as you know, other states like Georgia, South Carolina looks like they are going to be hit with this storm. Our prayers and thoughts are with all of the families that are just kind of like bracing themselves for impact this morning.
Yeah, there were a couple of messages on our Mighty Networks group asking about our property. We don't own it yet. We're not closing for a couple of weeks.
So pray for it.
So keep that in prayer for us. We really appreciate that. What we'll do is later on in the week, we'll, or maybe even tomorrow, we'll get a hold of our real estate agent, ask her to go check on it. And then maybe we'll even stop there on the way home and just make sure that they didn't have anything. This has pretty much been a rain event for us. Everything is north of us, but you just never know. So anyway, welcome to Keto Beyond the Couch. If you are new here, Keto Beyond the Couch is all about our subscribers. We like to do this every Monday. We go live as much as possible when we do it. And in Keto Beyond the Couch, we usually have one highlighted topic, but really the focus on this is our subscribers, celebrating wins and answering questions and comments that we found from our social media networks over the previous week. I do want to encourage you, if you're not a member yet, please go join our Mighty Networks group. It is completely free. Members.twocrazyketos.com. We are all about community. That's where we spend most of our time. Now, if you want to support us financially, we would really appreciate that. This is our full-time job, and you can join the Mighty Networks group for $5, $10, or $25 a month. That gets you some extra bonus perks, but the base community is completely free. We don't hide any content other than an occasional course for the higher up members, but like all of our videos, our recipes and everything, it's completely free. So go join Mighty Networks and get part of the 2KK community.
And we're just getting back from the Keto Orlando Summit this past weekend, which was an incredible event. It was so nice to share that time. And it really reminded us, once again, not that we need any reminding, but it reminds us the power of community, the opportunity to not just share your wins, but share your frustration, share your daily struggles. You know, when we get all together, it's not just keto we're talking about. We're talking about family issues. We talk about what's going on at work. We're talking about people getting new jobs. Like, there's just so much that happens in community. The community really is key.
Yep. So let's get into Keto Beyond the Couch. But before we do, I want to address a comment that I am not going to put up because I don't want anybody bashing the person that posted the comment.
Okay.
But it is a comment from an older video where we discovered pop your own pork rinds.
Oh my goodness.
And so I actually have some because we brought some with us. We
so good.
Put them in the air fryers, drop them in some beef tallow, bacon grease. They're amazing. It's actually a video we made about a year ago this time. I'll leave a link for that if I remember to put it in, but I'll definitely put a link down in the description box. But basically in that video, we show how you can take what's called pork pellets and actually pop your own pork rinds, have fresh pork rinds. And this comment made was that there's dextrose in this. So that is part of the curing process. It doesn't make the final pork rind that you have. It's just how they make these hard pellets. The thing is that all pork rinds that you're going to buy in a store are pretty much coming from these.
Right.
So we bought them from a company called Rudolph Foods. I'll leave a link for it down below. We don't make any money off of them.
No.
So this is not trying to hide something, but all the pork rind companies buy their pork pellets
from them,
from companies like Rudolph Foods. The dextrose doesn't even get listed in the ingredients. As a matter of fact, there is another company that we reviewed a lot of their products, Southern Batch Small Recipe Pork Rinds, and they actually have a pop it home your own, which I think we've actually done a video on.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, I'm going to put a picture up of this. Let me put a picture up of what I'm talking about. So you have these Southern Recipe Small Batch Pork Rinds, and it says from this to this. If you look at the ingredients, it just says pork rinds and salt. And then look right below there. Product of Rudolph Foods Company. That means that Southern Batch Recipe
They're
is
middleman.
getting their pork rinds and their pellets from this company. Well, this company's not making a special one for them.
No, they're not. And I think it's really important that we always apply some just common sense when it comes to, purchasing products, especially if, you're not raising the pigs to make pork skins for yourself. We're having to have somebody else, farm that and put that together. And there is such a thing as preservatives. There are things, if you do not have a curing process to make these things, they'd go bad, they'd spoil, and you would not be able to utilize them. So I know obviously we're always trying to incorporate foods into our meal plan that is the less amount of ingredients as possible. I get that, right? But sometimes we have to have a preservation process that takes place. So let's not just like major in the minors and minor in the majors, if that makes sense.
Okay, so we're back. We're going to go ahead and start Keto Beyond the Couch, and we're going to start off with our Keto College Adjunct Professor of the Week. This was a post from Debbie.
Hey, Debbie.
It says, confidence isn't thinking you are better than everyone else. It's realizing you have no reason to compare yourself to anyone.
I love that. That is really important, and it's going to be key as you follow along your keto journey. You're going to see people you love, even friends that are pivoting in their own keto journey. And you have to decide if something's for you or something is not for you. And maybe it's not for you right now. It'll be something that you pivot later on. But I think it's really important that we don't allow other people to kind of force us into things, right? Because that's not sustainable. At some point, even if you're trying to do something to please somebody else, at some point, bitterness is going to set in. At some point, you're going to ask yourself, is this my journey? Am I in charge of this? Or am I allowing myself to be manipulated by others? And then you'll just quit then.
Yeah. And this is actually part of what our talk was about when we were at Keto Orlando Summit, which I'll be editing and we'll be getting up in the next week or so. But about like just staying in your lane and not focusing on other people. Like so many times we look at other people and we're like, they're having more success than us. It doesn't matter. Just focus on you. You're the only person that matters. Next one we have is our subscriber of the week. It's Bernice.
Hey, Bernice.
She's like working in myself at 67. Take a look at this picture.
Look at that beast. I love it. I love the pose. When we were on the low carb cruise, that was something that Dr. Vega emphasized, that need to start out every morning in a hero pose. And maybe it's one where, hands on your hips, or one that you're flexing your muscles, but it's a moment for you to have with the mirror, to have with yourself, where you have eyes on the realness of you, and just allow yourself to be proud of yourself, focused on what you're doing, and feeling victorious. You are victorious, but sometimes we don't feel victorious.
Right.
So you need to take a moment to honor the fact that you really are trying, you're working hard, and look at that. That is a victory stance if I've ever seen one.
Yeah. Next one we have is from Laura.
Hey, Laura.
Said, I just flipped the calendar and noticed that my husband's type 2 diabetes diagnosis anniversary on the 4th. I keep it on the calendar to remind me of where we both were and compare it to where we are now.
Wow.
Boy, howdy. We've both come a long way. September 1st will be our 2-year ketoversary. This is the longest either one of us have lasted on a diet.
Wow.
Thanks to this community, I feel confident that we'll have many years to celebrate many ketoversaries. Thank you for your support.
I love that so much. Something that we did when we were at the gala was walk around and allow people to kind of share how far they've come, and then also talk about what are some new plans that you have for yourself. Because, you know, we would have never, like, let's say 10 years ago, we would not be planning an endeavor like, hey, we're going to start a farm and we're going to be kind of in charge of more things. We were looking at reducing our abilities and reducing, like, making our life so much smaller, because it was such a not a hopeful future that we were looking forward to. So it's so nice that you're looking forward to a different future. And I'm so glad that you are talking about, this is when we had this diagnosis that was going to be forever. You're going to have diabetes forever. And instead, you're using that as a victory lap, a victory day. So good.
Next one we have is from Joanna.
Hey, Joanna.
Said, hello, family. I have a question. I thought I'd come to my PhD family. My old air fryer finally died. It was the basket type. It worked great, and certainly I got my money's worth, but now I'm in the market for a new one. I'm not sure what type to get. I've seen a few different styles and brands and want your opinions and suggestions. I'd be using it mostly for cooking steaks, hamburgers, and chops. Thanks in advance. So at home, we have a Kasori air fryer, and we have absolutely loved it, and I highly recommend it. I know there were a couple of recalls on Amazon for some of the models of Kasori, but honestly, we've never had an issue with ours. Ours actually has never been in one of the recalls, but we really have enjoyed it. But that is a larger one.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a small one, I know we haven't released the review video of it yet. However,
we've been eating out of it.
I have to highly recommend the Tasty air fryer. I'll leave a link for it down below. We have been using it, and the reason we haven't put out a review video, we're actually going to put out a review video. We're going to record it probably later today or even tomorrow. But one of the things that I've made the decision to do on this channel when it comes to hardware, I guess that way, or cooking appliances, is we're not going to simply open something up now and do a review on it. I want to thoroughly test it before doing a review video.
Live with it.
Because we had an incident where we got an ice nugget machine, and we did that. We opened it up, we reviewed it, we tested it right there. It worked great. We highly recommended it. We loved it. And then it went dead about a month later.
And that was really upsetting. And I know that when you have like a product review to share, you want to share like the unboxing, the shininess of it, like your first uses. But for something like an air fryer specifically, this is going to be a much loved or hated small appliance, because in our experience, the air fryer is something that you lean on a lot. We need to know that this thing can take a beating and be able to use by like all the members of your family. Even our kids, like Caleb, that doesn't cook at all, will use the air fryer because it's just so convenient and easy to use.
So the thing about the Tasty is it is a little bit smaller than when we have it at home. It's probably better for 1 or 2 people, but I have been using it extensively to really put it through a bunch of tests. Some of the things I like about it is they're using a good coating that isn't toxic.
Yes.
It has a lot of features, including a dehydrate feature. It has a slow cooker feature, which is very rare on an air fryer.
Yeah.
But you're mentioning that you want to cook steaks and chops and things like that. It even comes with a temperature probe where you can, with one button on the top, you put in your temperature probe, you press steak, you tell it what you want. Like, I want a medium rare, and it will cook the steak to that temperature. So
My goodness.
I think it's great. So I'll leave a link for it down below. Like I said, we do have a full review video that we're going to make after having tested it for a while to make sure it works well and it does everything. I'm ready to recommend it, even though we haven't shown you the whole video. So much so that we were able to get a coupon code. It's 2 Crazy Ketos. And I believe that coupon code will give you $30 off. So I'll leave a link for it down below. Next one we have is from an anonymous member, which we're going to talk about this in a minute. I'd like a very easy keto snack.
I love questions like this because you're going to get a variety
It's
of
open-ended.
Of answers. You go ahead. What's your recommendation?
Well, before I even give a recommendation, I'm going to say for everybody who's watching this, go to the comment section right now. Like, press pause on the video, go down, and type in what is your favorite keto snack.
Yeah.
Because 2 reasons. Number one, you're going to help the community. Because when you put it there, you're going to get ideas. But also it helps the algorithm. So we really appreciate if you leave lots of comments on our videos.
Yeah.
Also, while you're there, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I think it's like right over there.
Please.
But that would really help out the channel, and hit the bell button while you're there. It's completely free anyway. Anyway, back from the shameless promotion. First of all, I'm going to say you shouldn't snack. I have to say that.
Oh man, I get it.
Listen, this is our duty to recommend not snacking. Does that mean I never snack? No. I'm saying you should try not to snack. You should eat your meal and then don't eat in between your meals. But listen, some of us snack, especially if you're on the road, things like that. There's always going to be times like that. We try to bring it into like more of an eating window. But as far as keto snacks, things like that, I like things like pork rinds.
Yeah.
Cheese sticks.
Sure.
Pepperoni. Our carnivore chips, where you basically take meat and you thinly slice it and you put it in the dehydrator for 4 or 5 hours. Your meat chips. You can even do it with like lunch meats, pepperoni chips. There's so many different things. Hard-boiled eggs are a great snack. So
well, you're taking all of mine.
I'm taking all of yours. Sorry, I'll let you go.
Well, I love
keto brick.
Keto brick. I was gonna say keto brick or the carnivore bar. Really, I think there's a lot of grab and go options. Even if you have things like almonds is another one. When you say snacks, my mind didn't even think about when you're eating them. To be honest, I thought about I make a meal out of what other people would call appetizer food.
Right.
I make a meal that looks like a charcuterie board, and that is dinner. So when you're saying like a snacky kind of food, I'm just thinking of
finger foods
that have taste and texture that's appealing, where people will enjoy them, even if it is not snack time but dinner time. And I do like all of the things that you would add to a charcuterie tray is something I really enjoy. I like boiled eggs, like you said, in different kinds of meat sticks and meat chips, just like you were talking about.
And if you're talking about finger foods, I can't let this opportunity go check out the video that we released yesterday, because there's a perfect finger food where I know throughout the entire video I call it bacon wrapped pancakes, but it's really pancake wrapped bacon.
Thank you.
But that's a delicious finger food.
It was really good.
And the thing is, you can pre-make an entire batch and store them in the freezer or the fridge. And if you want them crispy, stick them in your new tasty air fryer.
That's right. And bring them back to life. The other thing that I would say is I really love our protein puff cereal that we make with Keto Chow. We can put a link to that recipe video because that is really delicious. It's got a fabulous texture. And I think that it's something that both adults and kids could share, because I like to think about things you could pack into a lunchbox or take along with you.
Speaking of grab and go, let me turn this off. I wanted to mention something. We're up here in Auburndale.
Yeah, we are.
And we forgot our coffee sweetener.
Yes, we did.
Right?
It's okay.
I like something in my coffee,
A
which
little
is
something,
kind of
something.
funny because growing up I liked it light and nothing in it, but now I've kind of gone towards having a little bit less lightness, but wanting a little bit of sweetness.
Sweet and dark.
And so I wanted to mention something. I had to go to Walmart because we needed some Windex and we needed some dish detergent and stuff like that. And so I grabbed this, and this is going to freak out keyboard warriors right now.
Uh-oh.
I got this.
This is not a declaration of war, so don't please treat it like that.
So I want to mention something. We say all the time, Splenda is a brand.
It's a brand.
Okay. So you're going to see people go, Splenda is bad. Sucralose is bad because it's Splenda. That's not necessarily true. Powdered Splenda, yes, bad. Why? Because they use sucralose as a sweetener. Sucralose is 600 times sweeter than sugar. You cannot measure it out cup for cup. So they use maltodextrin and dextrose so that they can measure it out. Because you really can't measure pure powdered sucralose because it would be like on the tip of a toothpick, right? This is their liquid version. Okay, similar to what we use, although they put a couple of extra preservatives, I believe, in it, and it's not as strong. So the one we use, I'll leave a link for it down below. From Amazon, we get a big one, and it's like 25% sucralose and 75% water. This is their liquid sucralose. Even though it says Splenda, this one, for most people, is safe. It does not have maltodextrin or dextrose. So the ingredients in this are water, sucralose, and then malic acid, sodium benzoate, which is preservatives. That's what's in this.
Yeah. Now, I would like to point out, if you can turn it to the side, it says there are 200 servings in this. So be conscious of that. You know, sometimes we turn something upside down, spray it in our coffee like ketchup.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of servings. So you're and don't be upset if you're like, gosh, I like to just really squirt it in there.
You won't need to do that with us.
You won't need to do that with that. And also that helps me put it in context, especially if you're somebody who has a sweet tooth that you are looking to reduce. If you would like to reduce your sweet tooth, start slowly and carefully reducing the amount of the sweetener that you add.
Yeah, so you would only need a few drops. But again, that is just sucralose and water. Where, as opposed to the powdered version. That's why we like liquid sweeteners. Because whenever you have a powdered one, they have to bind it to something.
Right.
And so sometimes it's erythritol, sometimes it's maltodextrin, sometimes it's dextrose. That's why we stay away from all the little packets, except for the RHX sugar packets.
Right.
Next one we have is from Jennifer.
Hey, Jennifer.
Part of adulting is the management of your assets. To effectively do so, you sometimes have to place a bet on how long you will live. Because of the health improvements with a ketogenic lifestyle, I find myself reevaluating where to place that bet. I need to be prepared financially to live longer. That's a good problem to have.
That really is. And Jennifer, I love you so much. You are just such a precious friend that I'm really glad that you are making that decision to live longer. I was, talking to my mom, and I loved her headspace because, after so many physical issues that she's had, she is triumphed over type 2 diabetes herself, triumphed over former health issues, or heart issues rather. And so she called me the other day, and she was talking about a small insurance policy that she and daddy had opened up in the late 60s, early 70s. I think the giant payout of this thing is $7,000 or something. And she was saying that she was talking to the financial advisor, the insurance thing, and they were saying that you're only going to be guaranteed that they will pay it out until 120 years old. And then after that, it's the funds are reduced. And I love that she's like, I am so sorry, but this insurance policy may not live as long as I do. And
that's awesome.
I love that thought. Yes, absolutely, mommy. You live until 120, and then we will renegotiate the contract. I love it.
Next one is from another anonymous member. Said, so I started semi-gratitude, and I planned to continue low carb to carnivore way of eating and lifting heavy weights and stay on my meds 1 to 3 months. Has anyone else had experience with this? I have 45 pounds to not be overweight, obese anymore, but I have a very muscular frame and would be happy with 30 pounds. But I want to keep that muscle. I'm thinking of doing a DEXA scan before and after too, hoping to find a good deal.
Definitely recommend that.
Okay, so I have pretty strong opinions, and I don't want to rain on people's parade, but I have pretty strong opinions on using products like Ozempic and, Manjaro and all of those. Here's the thing. It's still unproven. There's not a lot of testing on it. There are a lot more things coming out where it's doing damage to people. So I'm not telling you or anybody to not use it. I'm saying be aware. Just please be aware. There are some major side effects. I think products like Manjaro and Ozempic are miracle drugs when used as originally intended, not at the ridiculously high dose that they're using to help lose weight. The thing is that we don't know all the side effects because what's happening right now with people taking it, that really is the clinical test. The doctors are supposed to be reporting back to them side effects they're seeing. It hasn't gone through long-term tests. One of the major side effects is a massive loss of muscle.
Right.
Which also happens when you significantly calorie restrict. Okay. But just be aware that what happens is people lose a tremendous amount of muscle. We can't afford to lose muscle because as we get older, once you reach the age of 50, for example, you lose 1% of your muscle mass every year.
Right.
And the worst part about that is not only do you lose about 1% of your muscle mass every year once you hit the age of 50, you need more protein to maintain what you have. And as we get older, it becomes more difficult to get that protein in. So somebody, for example, in their 30s may only need about 120 grams of protein a day. But when you're in your 60s and 70s, you need to be eating about 170 grams of protein.
But that's hard.
And it becomes harder to consume that amount of food. And then also, oh, by the way, we're generally not as active. So when you're already looking at, as we get older, we lose muscle. You really don't want to lose muscle. And there have been reports of people losing as much as 50% of their muscle mass.
Quickly.
You will never recover from that. On top of that, one of the driving forces of our metabolism, which helps us to maintain and lose weight, is muscle. So what happens is people go on products like this, they lose a tremendous amount of muscle, and then all of a sudden they go off of it and their metabolism is tanked because they've lost muscle. And that's why so many people gain not just the weight back, but a lot more, and it comes back as all fat. So it's just something to be aware of.
It's interesting if you are like, hey, I would like to have some fast track results. What would be something that would be a boost to metabolism? Like, is there any turbo button? The turbo button would be start strength training. And I understand,
it's going to be a slower process.
It's a slow process. You don't need to be like, my goal is to look like Robert Sykes or Keto Savage, right? Start with 10. Give me 10. Give me 10 minutes a day of just concentrated, dedicated strength training. If we start somewhere easy like that, it will be something we can build upon. If you are appropriating no minutes to strength training and we get to 10 minutes of strength training, that'll be a major achievement, right? There's a tenfold blessing.
Well, since I like to use car analogies a lot, even though I'm not a car guru, here's a good car analogy for you. Watch Fast and the Furious. Ozempic, Manjaro, all these different semi-latitudes. That's like when they hit the nitrous button and the car takes off.
Zoom.
But it doesn't last long.
No.
Right? And it can fry the engine.
Well, and you're in a longer race.
You can, but you can press the gas and accelerate slowly up to that.
Right.
And then you can maintain it longer.
Yeah, because again, I think that's what really disappoints people is that they treat it like it's a race, like a race of life. But it's not. You can't hit that nitrous button and use it for years and years and years.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work like that.
Okay, next one is from Lisa.
Hey, Lisa.
A non-scale victory. I've dealt with plantar warts on one foot for 20 years.
Wow.
I've had probably close to 15 or so on my foot for the last 5 to 10 years. I just noticed today they're almost completely gone.
Wow.
I've been mostly meat-based for 2.5 years now. I've tried pretty much everything short of surgery, and nothing really worked. I'm almost afraid to acknowledge it for fear it's going to come back.
Oh.
But I'm excited. I hated the sight of that foot and embarrassed by it. I've been a little discouraged because I've gained some weight I initially lost. I've been able to put my RA in remission.
Wow.
And I'm very grateful and focused on that. My body apparently still has some healing to do inside, and I'm excited to see some of the outward signs of it.
I love that.
This brings me to a statement that I make this a lot, and that is, yes, the weight loss is great, but please don't make your focus of keto or carnivore or eating the proper human diet weight loss. Make it about health. The weight loss will come. The weight loss is a side effect. If I never lost another pound again in my life, but I'm able to continue to maintain not needing crutches or a wheelchair, and I don't have to be on type 2 diabetes medication, and I don't have to be on blood pressure medication, and I feel better, and my arthritis is better, is it worth it to
Truly.
never lose another pound?
Yeah.
And for me, the answer is yes.
Certainly for me as well, to never have to take another pill for mental illness again. The fact that I can leave my house confidently, the fact that I can talk to people without social anxiety, that is enough of a reason to stay with this way of eating. And I think that sometimes, we're always thinking about where's that next smaller pair of jeans that I'm going to buy. It looks like you need to buy a new pair of cute sandals because maybe you've been covering up your feet and now it's time to celebrate how beautiful they are.
Next one we have is from Laquetta.
Hey, Laquetta.
I'm curious if anyone knows what program Rachel Stauffer is working right now.
The Savage System. Yeah, working with Robert Sykes, Keto Savage. He's got an amazing plan out there.
Leave a link for it down below.
I know that some people are going to be like, that's too expensive for me. I think that there are going to be people that no matter what we would share would say that's not something that fits into my budget right now because that is just not your priority right now, or that is just not something that that you're interested in doing. If you're interested in doing something, I highly encourage you to take my 10-minute challenge to begin strength training. And you can use YouTube videos. You can join like a gym. You can join your local recreation center or YMCA, but get started with something. Don't wait until you can afford something or you can do something exactly like someone else does it. 10 minutes is where you can start. For me personally, it was plugging into that system that's really made it not negotiable for me to get the strength training in.
Well, here's the thing about the Savage System. I think it's great. It's a proven system because it's what Robert does for himself.
Yeah.
Does it seem a little expensive at I think it's like $750 or something? Yes, but that's lifetime.
Forever.
You're getting a lot. You're getting custom AI. You're getting strength training. You're getting poses stuff, which I know it's called like the keto bodybuilding program, but it's not just for bodybuilders. But as you were talking about earlier, that posing thing can even help you in your self-confidence. And for many people, us including, putting some money down makes you do it. It's
Right.
very easy to just be like, you know what? It didn't cost me anything. Not a big deal. I mean, we talk about like, for example, you can watch a musician on a music video. You can listen to the radio. Why do we pay more attention when we go to a concert?
Yeah.
We put money on it.
Well, there's also a community aspect of it as well, where you can like post your results, post your changes. You're going to have everybody in the Keto Savage tribe, as he calls it, be able to check in with you. And then he is also having Zoom meetings, which I found very helpful because he's talking individually to everybody who is, in the program. If they show up to that, meeting, they're able to actually get some back and forth with Robert Sykes. He's been very successful. He has brought more than 600 people to the stage. And it's not all people who were always thought that they wanted to get into natural competitive bodybuilding. It's people who never dreamed of that for themselves, and he's helped them to tone and shape their body in such a way that is a reality for them.
And when you think about it, I mean, many coaches are more than $100 to $150 for a 30-minute consultation.
Right. This is a lifetime.
I mean, and most keto coaches that I know of, we charge significantly less. We're really about community and stuff, but many of the keto coaches that I've seen, they're upwards of $700 to $1,000 a month for private coaching.
Yeah.
Next one we have is from C Jack.
Hey, C Jack.
What about Nut Pods Coffee Creamer? Nut Pods Coffee Creamer is a good creamer. It's pretty clean ingredients. We have tried them. They're just not for me,
right?
Because I find them to be
faint of flavor
and too thin.
Yeah.
I want something that's going to really thicken up my coffee where I don't need to use a lot of it, which is one of the reasons that we will use butter, we will use eggs, we will occasionally use heavy cream, and then we use the super creamer.
Yeah, because it's just, even in a tablespoon, which is what, I want to add to my coffee, there's more of a flavor impact than when I use the nut pods. I found that, I mean, we bought the nut pods. There's nothing wrong with the nut pods. I see that they come in a variety of flavors, but it's interesting what happens. If I take a little swig right out of the nut pods container, I'm like, wow, flavor, yum, delicious. But it doesn't translate once you add it to coffee.
And also for us, we've tried to shift more away from nut-based milks. We will use coconut milk. That's a little bit different than things like almond milk and soy milk. Please don't use soy milk, or oat milk, things like that. So we've shifted kind of away from that, and you will see in a lot of our videos, we don't really use that. Instead of that, we'll usually use a touch of heavy cream watered down, or I'll even use a lot of times now Fairlife milk over using a nut milk, and just know that, okay, I may be getting a couple extra carbs, but I'm not usually using a whole cup of milk, which would only be like 7 or 8 carbs anyway.
Right.
So we've just kind of shifted away from it, but I'm not telling you have to.
No,
it's not a bad product. It's just not a product that we really like that much. Next one is from Mandy.
Hi, Mandy.
Good morning, everyone. Just here to call myself out, hold myself accountable while not beating myself up.
Good.
I've allowed my emotions to overpower me this morning. I can give a million excuses like I usually do, or I can reach out to this community for strength and grace. I've chosen the latter.
I'm so glad.
If anyone here has recently fallen off, you are not alone. I pick back up now, not tomorrow or Monday or next week. This is why we have our Mighty Networks community.
Absolutely. And day or night, there's usually somebody in the group available if you just want a moment of accountability. I love that you're calling yourself out. Truly, we do have, grace. I think it's very important for us to always keep in mind there is a difference between the who and the do. Who you are and what you do are not like Velcro or glued together, right? Your value never changes. I think sometimes if we feel like we've made a mistake or we've had a fall, then we're a mistake and we're a fall, we're a failure. That is not true. We are people that are always valuable, always to be cherished, always precious. Sometimes we do things that we are later regretful of or we're dissatisfied with. Okay, your value never changed. Do something different and do it quickly. Like you're saying, don't let a week go by. Like, make it a keto meal. Get right back up on that horse.
I have to show something. I'm so proud of this.
He is very proud of this.
Very proud of this.
Anyone who comes over gets to see this.
So I 3D printed and made some modifications. This Nespresso coffee tower.
Yes.
What's really cool about this is, watch this.
It's got they're locked
into place, right? And I can make it as tall as I want. So we made one here for the RV that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Or 4 towers high, and there's 6 going around. So, we have this
24
at the one at home. I put a 5th tower, giving me a total of 30 pods.
It's a coffee skyscraper.
I designed it on the bottom to rotate so you can split it around.
He's so proud.
And then we made the middle so that you can put your little zoop zoop.
Zoop zoop.
But Rachel was very concerned about that because she's like, how am I going to wash it?
And he
So
made
I
it work
made
and take it out.
The middle cup removable.
Because, you know, there's always like a residual drip that comes off of your zoop zoop.
Look at that.
I love it. I'm really proud of you.
I'm so proud of this thing, so I have to show it off to
You'll
everybody.
have to share the plans for that.
Next one is from Debbie.
Hey, Debbie.
Non-scale victory, at least I think so. I spent the weekend at my son's house helping him DIY. I think that
and her daughter-in-law.
And daughter-in-law put together a play set in the backyard for the grandsons. Matt, of course, did the biggest load of the work, but I helped passing tools and connectors and holding things in place and lifting and doing some screwing and tightening of bolts and climbing up and down on the ladder.
That is fantastic. And you're right. That is a victory to be celebrated. We think about what does it look like to be a grandmother or grandfather at this stage. And I can remember, you know, all of my friends talking about the most that they did with a lot of their grandparents was they baked them cookies and then sat in the couch and kind of like directed. They were on the sidelines of, you know, softball games. They were on the sidelines at the playground. You know, the kids would be playing on the floor, but the grandparents were not able to sit on the floor. Right. So it's like looking at what you can do now. We want to be helpful. I want to be a blessing to my children and my grandchildren. But like what Debbie is saying, I want to be a blessing no matter what they need. So if what they need this weekend isn't just babysitting where I'm on the couch, they're on the floor, but instead I can get in there with projects, then I'm truly a blessing to my children and my grandchildren.
Next one we have is from Mel.
Hey, Mel.
When someone asks on a Facebook group how to save money on a new prescription, it's going to cost them $300 a month.
Wow.
And you find out it's basically Ozempic, so you recommend Dr. Barry's channel and watching his videos about how to reverse type 2 diabetes, and you get a response from someone saying they didn't ask for medical advice. I think I'm justified in telling them there's a possibility they can avoid the cost altogether, but not according to this person. Mel, I just want to, I put this post in here not to create a bunch of controversy about Ozempic. We already talked about that. I'll take that on myself. But to say, I think you're right. When somebody puts something on Facebook or on any social media, they're inviting, in my opinion,
opinions.
You're inviting me into your life. If you don't want me to answer you, respond to you, give you a recommendation, then don't put a post up.
And maybe they could rephrase their question if they're asking for, is there like an RX program that makes something that I have every intention of continuing to take, and that is not up for negotiation, but is there a coupon program for prescriptions? Maybe you could phrase the question differently, but in my opinion, reading that question, I think that they're asking for like open-ended advice, and I can totally see it reasonable that Mel would say, hey, you know what? You actually
there's a way to avoid it.
You don't have to take it at all. And You're also not just acting like playing a doctor on the internet. You're actually pointing them to Dr. Barry, who's going to explain why you may want to take that route. So I think you did your best in providing good results. And when someone does kind of like not respond kindly when you post, please don't let that be an obstacle for you participating in social media things moving forward.
Especially in our groups.
If you have a situation where somebody does not receive your post or your answer in a welcoming way, please know that everybody is not like that. Everybody is not going to respond to you angrily or be upset with you.
Yeah, and you know, here's the thing is if you go into our Mighty Networks group or if you go on our Facebook and you ask a question, you're asking for help. Now, if somebody responds really nastily and we don't see it, please let us know.
Right.
Because we won't have that. Because there is yes, you're inviting in your life, but I'm not inviting you to abuse me either. And that's why we have strict rules about no keto police. Like, you may be carnivore, but it doesn't give you the right to go and tell somebody else in our group in a nasty way that if they're not carnivore, they're not keto, which we've had that kind of stuff. And it's simply not true. Carnivore isn't for everybody. And I will hold strong to my saying that there's never been a society in history that is 100% carnivore, and we don't know long-term effects of only ever eating meat and never touching a vegetable or a berry or anything again in our life.
Well, and I think that, you know, when by the same token on the other side, when it comes to posting, I don't want people to get discouraged because they put something out there. We do have a don't yuck or yum policy. So if someone does post, hey, here's what I ate last night, and there's something that doesn't fit the way you're doing keto right now, don't yuck their yum. You know, focus on the good would be my advice. So if, like, let's say somebody has, you know, bacon wrapped chicken on their plate with a side of vegetables and you are a carnivore, then just let them know, hey, I love the
It looks great.
That bacon wrapped chicken looks delicious. And we don't even need to talk about the vegetables.
The only exception I would say, if somebody puts up a picture of, for example, this, and says, what are your thoughts on this on a keto lifestyle?
Right.
That is the only place where I would say it's okay to give your opinion on that ingredient. The next one we have is from Ronnie.
Hey, Ronnie.
Said, thank you for your Celsius post a while back. Someone came at me for drinking it. Your post covered all of his complaints. And he is an insulin-dependent diabetic, but wants to complain about my Celsius consumption.
It is so much easier. You know, there's an energy that we need to right wrongs. We need to get that off. If you feel like you need to fix something, even in your house, you feel this urge of like, I need to clean things up. I need to clean it up, right? I can clean up my mess, or I can tell Joe, look at this. The half of the mess that's been made here is your mess. I see your shorts on the floor, or I see your socks not in the laundry basket. Of course, I have a mess that I've made that's a different mess.
You don't notice that mess.
I've left out my books. I've left a pin somewhere it does not need to be. I can put away my things and clean up my half of the mess, or I could use that energy that tells me this thing needs to be cleaned up, and just use that energy to focus on where Joe needs to change what he is doing.
Sounds like you're calling me a slob.
But the truth is, I'm equally a slob. If there is a mess,
you're not even denying it.
But that's the problem. It's so much easier to spend that energy trying to correct someone else rather than realizing, if I'm pointing the finger, at least 3 more are pointing back at me.
To be honest, I am a messy person.
You're getting better.
I'm a disorganized person. That's what I am.
It helps to have the RV, honestly, because there's not more room to like.
It even drives me insane. Like things like this is out of place. It's like
smaller place.
My biggest complaint about this RV is there's no place to hang our broom and our mop, our Swifter mop. And so like Rachel stores it in the shower, but I don't like it in the shower, and I want to put it here, and then she doesn't want to put. But that's the biggest problem. But because it's a small space, you work harder to keep things organized.
It's a good thing.
Helping me to get organized.
Keep it simple.
Next one's from Jesse.
Hey, Jesse.
I feel like a lot of net carbers also watch their calories, so I still don't see them eating more than a couple things as a treat. Mm-hmm. At least I didn't overdo things even with net carbs.
That's good to know.
So the problem, again, I will always say net carbs is not a thing unless you're going to just do vegetables. First of all, net carbs is made up by the food industry. It's not a real thing. It was made up by the food industry to get you to buy their products because people were beginning to eat low carb. This goes all the way back to Atkins, which is actually where it started with Atkins products. The thing is that many people, some people are great like you and still count calories. Counting calories is not the best option because counting calories insinuates that all calories are the same, and that's simply not true. If you ate 2,000 calories of nothing but fat and carbohydrates, you're going to have a different result than if you ate 1,000 calories of protein and 1,000 calories of fat. So all calories are not the same. But there are some people like you that would do net carbs and still look at everything else. But many people, especially when they get started on keto, don't do that. As a matter of fact, our recommendation when somebody first gets started on keto is, I don't want you to count anything. I don't want you to count any kind of calories. I don't want you to count your protein. I don't want you to count your fat. All I want you to do is not eat carbohydrates. And what that results is the only thing that they are counting, and this is also labeled as lazy keto by a lot of people, the only thing that they are counting is carbohydrates. Hence, you end up with a problem of if you're only counting net carbohydrates, you're going to end up eating a lot more. And many of the food products that use net carbs to sell you stuff, almost all of the carbs that they're telling you can deduct, you can't really deduct.
When we started out, you'll see us talk about, if you watch our early product reviews, we were using net carbs. There were not a lot of products out. The companies truly believed that keto was a fad. And so before I start marketing things, why would I set aside and dedicate part of my precious manufacturing space to providing a product when as soon as I get it to the marketplace, it's just going to be out of style? So when they realized that keto was not just a fad, but it truly was a way of living that people were going to sustain the rest of their life, now they're starting to put dollars and manufacturing space to producing products. So when we got started, it wasn't such a deep pool with room for drowning in that net carb space. But now, as time goes on, we don't know what in the world is next as far as somebody claiming that they're making a product for keto, and it really has nothing to do with keto. So we now try to tell newcomers, especially, follow a total carb protocol. You're never going to go wrong that way. I don't think
I'd rather you up your total carbs.
Make that 30 or 40 total carbs instead of that magic 20 net carbs that we used to all follow, because then you are in the driver's seat. You are in control.
Even when we first got started and you had very few keto people, you had Dr. Berg. Dr. Berry was just starting.
Yeah.
Their recommendation was, if you're going to follow net carbs, I know Dr. Berry was Dr. Berg, I think, always did do net carbs, that you should have a 50 total carb max. And here's the thing is that if you have, especially with modern day products, 50 total carbs is going to eliminate a lot of things, or at minimum, it's going to really restrict the amount you have. I mean, if you look at some of the keto-friendly gummy bears that you can buy in places like Whole Foods, like the ones like the Lily's one or the Smart Sweet ones, they're like 40, 50 total carbs for one package. That kind of really hurts you right there. And that's why we really believe in following that total carb thing, because so many of those fibers are actually being utilized by your body and they jack people's blood glucose up. The same thing with a lot of the breads and things like that. So we do recommend a total carb protocol. Next one we have is from Rose.
Hey, Rose.
Can you use steakums in your pemmican recipe? Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
You'd have to take them. You'd have to dry it, but you could use that as your meat and dry it and then make your pemmican. It's probably going to be a little more of an expensive process because in doing that, the steakums themselves are very expensive. The only advantage you're really getting is that it's already pressed in. I would tell you the cheaper method to pretty much give you the same thing, because steakums are not cooked meat. What I would do is get some cheap ground beef. And then from that ground beef, what I would do is you want to get it as lean as possible. I'm talking about like 90, so I guess it wouldn't be cheap. 93 or even 97.3, but 93.7 or 97.3 or elk, bison, any really lean meat, get it ground. Get just ground beef. Roll it out between two pieces of parchment paper, super thin. Put that in the oven and dry it.
Yeah.
That would be much cheaper than using steakums. But you can use steakums if you dry them.
Definitely.
Next one is from Sherry.
Hi, Sherry.
I love to see how kind you are to those who follow you. I'm over here listening to you, not because I'm on a keto diet, but because I follow you on Two Crazy Campers and RV Unplugged.
Wow.
I enjoy your kindness and your humor, and I do get some good ideas here too. For example, I forgot I have a dehydrator going to waste and just crying out to have some jerky made. I didn't garden last year, so no spinach or herbs to dehydrate. Anyways, thanks for being fun, Sherry. This is why we have our other channels.
Yes.
This is why we went on RV Unplugged, because it was about reaching community. we can do life together even if you don't eat the same lifestyle as us.
Absolutely. There is always, always, always going to be a seat at our table for you.
Next one is from Vicky and Ryan's Gold Adventures.
Hi, Vicky and Ryan.
You are so kind and loving to people who do not feel good about themselves. This is what keeps bringing me back. I'm on a stall fighting to get under 160, and I feel desperate when I hit 170. Grab scale, change batteries to hope the reading was wrong. I'm grateful I'm not gaining, but frustrated because my autistic son is still over 329. Trying to keep him from becoming more obese. He doesn't really care about how he looks, but I want him to not have lung issues. When we caught COVID, it hit him worse than me. At 69, I floated over COVID like a speed bump.
Wow.
He ended up in the hospital. His weight just didn't help his lungs at all.
Vicky, thank you for being a part of our community and reminding all of us that people are on a journey and it's not just about them. You know, we're trying to arrive, you know, safely through life. We're, you know, you're building that keto raft for yourself and you're trying to save your health. You're trying to get through life as healthy as possible and protect. But you know what? Like you're reminding us, everybody, we're not alone in that raft. A lot of times it's people like this that, you know, that we're caretakers for, that we need to serve. And I really appreciate you just sharing your journey and reminding all of us that it's important that we stay kind, that we stay full of grace, and that we shine a light of love on others.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I know it's really hard. Like
Yeah.
you see your friends and your loved ones and you want to help them, but sometimes it's just going to take a long time and you need to focus on you because if you're not healthy, you won't be able to help them later. And just know that maybe one day they'll listen. It took my mom and my sister 7 years.
Yeah, it did. And I think, you know, we all desire to be a lighthouse to others. But you know what? A lighthouse is not shining a light on the boat to say, Captain, why in the world are you here in these waters? You should be ashamed of yourself that you've gotten yourself into that mess. That is not what a lighthouse is for. The lighthouse is to show the captain your safety. Here's how to safely navigate through this. Let me show you where the pitfalls are so that you can avoid them. A lighthouse is designed with mercy in mind, with help in mind, not to point fingers and not to be mean.
I do encourage you to go check out our talk from the low carb cruise for 2024.
How to make an ass out of yourself.
Next one or last one is from Sean.
Hey, Sean.
I'm excited to see your new homestead channel. I'm looking forward to seeing your new journey unfold.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm a little scared. My excitement has got a little bit of fear mixed in. I'm not going to lie. I think that you're always going to ask yourself, am I up to the task? Am I up to the task to get rid of the carbohydrates and sugar? Am I up to the task of starting to work out and move my body? Am I up to the task of beginning to socialize and put myself out there for others, you know, to talk to? Am I up to the task of sharing my story? And now we're asking ourselves, are we up to the task of making this eating lifestyle more sustainable no matter what's happening in the world?
Well, that is going to be the end of the video today. Sorry that we couldn't go live, but we just didn't want to risk it with, you know, all the issues with the weather and everything. Keep us and everybody that it's in the path of this storm in your prayers, hoping it passes through. Fortunately, they did tell us yesterday in our cast meeting that all of the events are actually going to be indoors.
Right.
So the weather at least won't affect all of the events and competitions and everything else. The only thing that, it may affect is the dunking booth. But they said what they'll do is they're still going to have it. It just may be outside, but you're already going to get dunked anyway.
You're gonna get wet.
And Rachel and I both volunteered to the dunk booth.
Yeah, so if you would like to put us into the water,
it's actually
we'll
not
be
too
there.
late. Wednesday, if you're in the Central Florida area, you got nothing to
$20.
do. $20. You get dinner, watch party, hang out with everybody. Definitely worth it. Now, that is going to be the end of today's video. We really appreciate all of you for joining us. We will be back live on Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time.
Have a great day, guys.
Bye.